Hi everyone, and welcome back to the studio. So far we've explored line, shape, tone, and form. And now in this set of films, we're going to bring our drawings to life, allow them to burst into colour, um, with exploring how colour can capture emotion, atmosphere, vibrancy, and everything we create, and just a little touch of watercolour on top of your sketches. And this can be done back in the studio, can really make them sort of sing and come to life. So artists. My great grandfather used to mix Turner's paints for him, Mr. James Kerr, and imagine those notes that Turner used to make and Constable used to make of the color combinations that they needed to recreate when they got back in the studio. But with photographs, you get a perfect record, and you can just uh, add the watercolor to them. I think that drawing in the field makes the sketch feel like lively, and you can tell it's got that earnest, honest observation from life rather than a photograph. But the colors with the watercolor and just adding that touch of color, you don't seem to notice too much whether it's done in the studio or done on the spot. So we're going to begin with the basics of learning the color wheel. And you might have done this at school, but I'm going to try and make it a little bit more lively, a little bit more interesting. And it's really about the use of complementary color. Now, this is really key if we want to keep your colors vibrant and full of life, and you don't want to be bringing in those blacks, which are going to deaden those colors. We're going to be using each color's opposite. So we might be muting a red by using its opposite, which is a green, or the opposite of blue will be an orange. So just as black and white are their opposites, other colors have their complementary opposites. And it's learning this language that will enable you to use color, and really enjoy color. So once you've understood complementary colors, you can make your paintings really come alive, full of energy, with much more beautiful hues. We can really, I know I'm a bit obsessed with the Impressionists and their color mixing, but we can also look at more abstract painters such as Paul Klee and see how he can make colors work beautifully together, and the nuances of tone, and even without it, anything being real or a real subject, his paintings glow with balance and rhythm and emotion and show how color alone can tell a story and create these vibrant harmonies and also muted harmonies as well. So we can explore very subtle smoky greys and make our palette very sort of gentle as we can look at the artist Morandi, and maybe not so much of the bright gaudy color, but occasionally we want to pull out that lemon yellow for a yellow boxfish. So we're going to start off by putting what we know about color mixing into creating an oak sprig in watercolor. I was inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's oak sprig to do this, and I often recommend having a look at another artist's work before you begin something to get some inspiration about what you could do. Or there might be some little message or little thing you can learn from looking at another artist's work. I really like the way Da Vinci stacked up his leaves like a deck of cards. So this project's all about subtlety, about the deep greens of an oak. You'll learn how to mix the greens that make it feel alive, the darker green leaf of the oak leaf compared with the acorn, and bringing out those more sap green, vibrant washes. So you're working with all these different shades of green. And I've heard Professor Brian Cox say, we see more shades of green than any other color. It's something to do with the spectrum, I believe. But this is a good challenge to test your color mixing and see what you can come up with in your range of greens and how closely you can match them. Sometimes I take a little bit of a leaf off and put it by the palette and then just mix a bit of green and compare and contrast it with the one I'm working on. Next up is Penguin School. So it might be a bit unusual to do penguins black and white in colour, but I thought, well, that's why they're intriguing and why their colour is important to evolution and nature. So we're going to have a couple of different penguin films. Part one will be an introduction, where you will learn how to balance the cool tones, the icy blues, and the deep colour of their black backs. So the black back is obscured by the deep depths when it's seen from above by its predator, and vice versa when it's seen below, its body gets broken up by the white light of the surface. And this is called counter shading. It's a clever way animals use to blend into their surroundings. There'll be another exercise in penguins, which is going to be called squash and stretch. which is going to get your drawings fun and animated. So you're going to play with form and movement. So I want you to feel this energy that's inside a moving body and express it in action and bounds. Next up is a crab apple study at Poleston Lacey. So I enjoyed doing this. This is done out in the field, which I felt was full of charm and cozy British countryside atmosphere. It's like a cornucopia of these opulent fruit that are warty, a little bit imperfect, and it's a chance of sort of overlapping colouring pencil and building up and modelling a still life of crab apples with their leaves bathed in a blue ultramarine shadows in the orchard on a lovely summer's day, full of nostalgia and a touch of freshness in the sap green leaves. So that's going to be a colouring pencil project that hopefully you're going to enjoy. And it's quite meditative colouring pencil. It's not too stressful, and you start building up that process. After that, we're going to dive beneath the waves and do a bladderwrack. I can say this. I'm going to do a bladderwrack seaweed study in muted colours. This one's all about restraint, exploring colour tones without relying on things being incredibly bright. You're going to work with olive greens, umbers, and soft greys, learning how muted tones can feel rich and subtle, quiet and textural. And this can be quite meditative as well, and a reminder that colours don't have to shout to be too powerful. And we'll be looking at overlaying and building up tonal washes of watercolour, but also leaving areas of the watercolour bare and clear for those reflective highlights. Next up is going to be some small creatures with a big personality, poison dart frogs. So it's all about boldness, contrast, and precision, and the game of watercolour. What colour are we going to put down first to capture those vivid blues, yellows, and reds that are colours signifying to the rest of the world that they're poisonous to eat? And you're going to be working on how to keep your watercolour as clear and bright, as crisp as possible, so that we can capture the excitement and energy of these tiny little frogs. After that, there's going to be a V-Nex Murex drawing in watercolour. So this is a detailed study of a seashell. So quite a challenge to draw and very detailed. You can always swap this out for a different seashell, should you prefer. So next we're going to come to some small, lively creatures, the ladybird, the butterfly, and I think we're even going to do some scarlet cleaner shrimps and a goldfish. So these are little critters that can be a little bit more familiar to us, and we're going to work them up step by step as mini tutorials. So these subjects are about bright, bold colours, delicate detail, and playful experimentation. So really, these little mini projects are really looking at the game of watercolor. So on the ladybird, what color do you put down first? You know, you put the black spot down, or do you better off putting the red wash down before it? And what can you leave for highlights and things like that? Yeah, there's another project I want to include on this, which is flamingos and red-breasted geese. So we're going to look at sketching some flamingos. I'll go through their anatomy as with the geese. We'll do some loose pencil line drawings, and then we're going to just add a touch of watercolor. So hopefully these projects pull together everything we've learned so far in going out and drawing the natural world, from using color and capturing it with expression and painting what you see and what you want to say and how you want to just portray it. It can be a little bit interpretive at times. Don't always have to be like photographically realistic in terms of putting that watercolor down. So by the end of these projects, I hope you understand that color is not just something you see, but something that you feel as well. So from the quiet greens of an oak sprig to the bold pinks of a flamingo, or the muted palette of colours that you're going to use on the seaweed, to those punchy red breasts of the red-breasted goose. Each project's going to build you up with confidence how to mix, balance, and use colour with purpose. So I hope you enjoyed these, and I look forward to seeing you in the next chapter.